So TJ is back to talking regular, and I'm really wondering if she was faking. Let's get into the video. She doesn't have that laryngitis anymore, that hoarseness. And I guess it was a remarkable recovery. Because 2 days ago, she could hardly talk. You could hardly hear a whisper. But yesterday, I noticed she was back to talking regular. So, what do you guys believe? Do you all believe that she was faking it? Drop it in the comments. Don't forget to hit the like bell and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so as yet. But I thought that was very extreme. Don't you guys think so? If you're going to speak in whispers and pretend to be sick, have strep throat, God does not like ugly if she was faking. That's all I'm saying. So I decided to look up strep throat. The length of time it would take you to get over this strep throat. Now, mind you, she had strep throat for 3 days, just about 3 days, and now she's talking regular. So this morning, when I looked on her page, I noticed she put out a live, and she's talking about baby girl, and she even had the child's picture up, and I said, oh my God, this woman is really putting the kids out there. So let me get back to this strep throat. Because if she's willing to throw the kids under the bus, then I think she would be willing to lie. Because what mother would throw her kids under the bus for just for a buck? So according to Google, this strep throat is caused by a streptococcal bacteria, which is highly contagious and can spread through coughing, sneezing, food, drinks, and especially if you're going to kiss a person. So when I read that, I said, wait a minute, how come Jaguar is not sick? Jaguar is in the same house. She's in TJ's face. She's talking to her. They're sharing the bed, and Jaguar did not get sick. I said, what's the dealio here? Are they, or were they, pulling a fast one on us? Say it ain't so, TJ. You gonna pay for them wicked ways of yours if it wasn't true and you were putting on. Because according to this diagnosis, Jaguar is also supposed to get sick because this thing is contagious. If I got measles, I gotta be quarantined because it's contagious. How come you didn't quarantine yourself, my dear, from Jaguar? So at this point, the lying has become so obvious that even Stevie Wonder can see the lying that's going on. Because if anyone has strep throat, the doctor will tell them, okay, it's contagious, you need to quarantine yourself from the members of your household. But Jaguar and TJ were not quarantined. They were still sleeping together. We heard TJ in the background doing the live with Jaguar. Therefore, they were laying together because they do the live laying down on the bed. Jaguar probably said to her, listen, Tej, you got to pretend for at least 2 more days. But girl, you should have dragged it out longer, for at least a week, to make it more believable. So I said, I know TJ said she had strep throat and she was doing all that talking. Maybe she didn't have a sore throat, because when you have a sore throat, you can't talk, right? So this could not have been strep throat, because with a sore throat, you so uncomfortable talking, it forces you to not talk. It shuts you down. But she didn't complain of any sore throat. Jaguar didn't say nothing about sore throat. All she did was said, I can't talk. I got strep throat. All she did was say she got strep throat. So I said, you know what? Let me look up the symptoms of strep throat to see if she had any one of them symptoms. So these are the hallmark symptoms of when you have strep throat. You're going to have sore throat accompanied by a rash. They didn't say nothing but no rash. TJ had no rash. What happened to the rash, TJ? You said you didn't mention nothing but no sore throat. That goes hand in hand when you have strep throat. And then I said maybe her body skipped that particular one. Maybe she didn't pick up no sore throat or no rash. I said, well, let's go to the next symptom. And it says problem breathing or swallowing. But she didn't complain of swallowing. But the next day after she said she had a strep throat, she said she had difficulty breathing. She was hyperventilating. And I said, well, could that be it? But if you got strep throat, you're going to have the difficulty breathing right away with the strep throat. Or maybe some people skip that step. So I said, well, let me go to the next one. Maybe her body did not, have this difficulty breathing the first time that she was diagnosed. I think she self-diagnosed herself. I think Jaguar said she went to the hospital, but she was talking like if she was home the entire time. And if she went to the hospital, how come we didn't see no ambulance footage? We may have heard Jaguar calling for an ambulance, but that does not mean that she went to the hospital or even EMT or EMS coming out to the house. Because if they had come out to the house and check her throat and didn't see it inflame, like the picture we just saw in the beginning of this video, if they didn't see that, they would say, you got no strep throat. This is psychosomatic, meaning it's all in your mind. So that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking the second day when TJ was hyperventilating on the show, she was on one of the YouTuber show, and she started to hyperventilate because she was asked a question she didn't want to answer. That's what I believe. She didn't want to answer that question. That's why she started to hyperventilate. But the thing is, getting back to the strep throat, if she had strep throat, she would have had difficulty swallowing and breathing with a strep throat. So when Jaguar got on the phone to call for the ambulance, and we heard her on the phone saying, my girlfriend can't breathe, we don't know if they came to the house, the ambulance came to the house, because for a person, think about it, folks, for a person who likes being in the limelight, like Jaguar, all eyes on me kind of thing, you would want to see some type of footage so you can put it out on YouTube that, oh, my girlfriend just got the ambulance come to her rescue, so let me make a video of it. We would have seen footage of Jaguar making a video off of that. We did not see that. We did not hear an ambulance siren coming to the house. We did not see no paramedics. We did not see them working on TJ. We did not see her on a stretcher. We did not see them even giving her oxygen. I think someone reported that they saw tubing, oxygen tubing, and they don't believe TJ went to the hospital. They believe that the ambulance came out and the EMT guys just worked on her and give her some oxygen and left. But guess what? If you're having difficulty breathing, they're not just going to give you oxygen and leave. They're going to want to check you out of the hospital and then release you back to home, because they don't want it on their heads that they let you stay in that house with difficulty breathing and they left you in the house. That's a potential lawsuit waiting to happen. If they left her in the house, obviously her breathing pattern was not to the point where she had to be hospitalized or go to the hospital. And so that means Miss TJ was fibbing. For a whole couple of days, she was acting as if she couldn't breathe and couldn't talk. So that was all an act. So then I went on to the next thing that will happen if you have strep throat. They're going to give you some antibiotics. Nothing was mentioned about her getting antibiotics. So according to the CDC, since bacteria causes strep throat, antibiotics are needed to treat the infection and to prevent rheumatic fever and other complications, to reduce the process of the strep throat. TJ did not mention, oh, I got antibiotics, I'm on antibiotics, nor did Jaguar. That means it didn't happen. Or else Jaguar would have been showing the bottle. Oh, these are the antibiotics that she got. See, guys, because she likes to show proof, because she knows we all believe she's a liar. That did not happen. So, TJ, I'm really trying to redeem your good name, girl. But it looks like if you had none of these symptoms, let me try to look for something. I'm trying to save you, girl. Trying to save your good name. So, I continue to look, and I see another article, and it says, Staphylococcus is commonly spread through direct person-to-person transmission. So this direct person-to-person transmission was key for me, because that means TJ picked it up from someone or Maybe someone sneezed in her face or coughed in her face, but it's the rep. You guys understand. You got to be in close proximity to the other person. And since Jaguar is the one who's always close to her, I'm saying, well, if she got it from Jaguar, how come Jaguar don't have it? So that didn't make any sense. So I'm thinking maybe she picked it up when she went to one of them stores to run her errands. That could be a possibility. So I said, boy, oh boy, we dodged a bullet. 1 point for TJ at least. She could have caught it from somebody else at the store. And I said, oh boy, TJ, I'm fighting hard for you, girl. We're trying to get your good name back on point. So I said, okay, maybe she caught it from somebody at the store. But since it's so contagious, how come Jaguar don't have it? See, now we back to square one. If you got strep throat or had strep throat and you're in the same proximity as Jaguar and you did not quarantine yourself, how come she don't have it? Explain that, my dear. So I went back to Google to find some answers because I'm doing my little detective work now. And I said, well, since TJ was not on antibiotics because we didn't hear them mention antibiotics and Jaguar is in close proximity to her, what does it say? And it says avoid contact with anyone who has strep throat until they've been on antibiotics for at least 24 hours. But TJ did not say she was on antibiotics. I'm saying, oh my goodness, Jaguar must have been exposed, but how come she didn't have it? So now I got to look at this whole thing with a side eye, and I'm looking at your girl, TJ, like if she's a big fat liar. And I said, oh my goodness, I hate to put her in the liars category, being that she was so sick. I mean, one day she had strep throat, and the next day she was hyperventilating and couldn't breathe. I said, I'm not going to do that to TJ. Let me look further to exonerate her. Put her name back in good light with the public because it's caused by bacteria. It says strep throat typically goes away in 3 to 7 days with or without antibiotic treatment. So I said, well, on the third day, TJ was talking like normal and maybe, just maybe, she had strep throat. And it went away on the third day because it does say, this article does say about the third day, 3 to 7 days, it might go away with or without antibiotic treatment. So maybe she didn't have to be on antibiotic. And that's why it went away on the third day. And I said, whew, finally, we got some answers that's going to clear up TJ's name. And then I read further into the article and it says, however, I said, however is coming. That don't look too good for TJ. It says, however, if you don't take antibiotics, you can remain contagious for 2 to 3 weeks. And I said, Jaguar, you better go to the hospital because, girl, you probably got strep throat too. But Jaguar isn't complaining of any symptoms of strep throat, no sore throat, no hoarseness, nothing. No fever. That's another thing. TJ didn't say she had a fever, and that comes with strep throat. And I said, well, let's read further into this article and see why your girl Jaguar does not have strep throat and fever, and TJ didn't have any of these symptoms, except for shortness of the breath the following day. And that's possible that she developed this shortness of breath the day after. But without antibiotics, the article says you continue to be contagious for 2 to 3 weeks and you are highly at risk for complications such as rheumatic fever. And I said, oh boy, I hope TJ does not develop any of these things if she's not on antibiotic. And boy, oh boy, I'm really afraid for Jaguar because she didn't get treated at all. So, and this thing is very contagious. And I'm saying, well, we're going to wait and see. But so far, it's not looking too good for TJ. It looks like if she's a big fat liar, along with that Jaguar right. So TJ was not on antibiotics because none of them said that they were. TJ did not say she was on antibiotics, and Jaguar did not say TJ was on antibiotics. So I'm presuming she wasn't taking antibiotics. And the article does say, if you're not on antibiotics, you remain contagious 2 to 3 weeks after you contract strep throat. So this is no laughing matter, folks, because when TJ goes to the store, if she coughs or sneezes in front of somebody, or even if there's nobody around and she coughs or sneezes and she walk off and somebody walk right into that space where she coughed and sneezed and there are droplets in the air, that person can get strep throat. So she is a walking contagion right now. She needs to quarantine herself. So until she quarantines herself for the next week, because she's had it now for maybe a week now. If she does not quarantine herself, she is like a walking plague. So I am hoping that if she had strep throat, like she said she had strep throat, that she's on some type of antibiotic treatment, because if left untreated, it says, this article says, left untreated, strep throat can lead to kidney inflammation or rheumatic fever, a serious illness that can cause stroke and permanent damage to the heart. But fortunately, strep throat can be easily diagnosed with a simple throat culture and prompt treatment of a course of antibiotics. So if she's not doing none of those things, she is really like a walking plague, a walking infection. She can infect so many people in this two-week period of time, because we know based on all the recordings that Jaguar put out there that TJ runs errands in the store. She's the one who does shopping. Oh, I'm going to go get some coffee. Oh, I'm going to get some stuff for the morning brew. I'm going, she's always going to the store for something. So she's the one who does the errands. And she's putting a lot of people at risk with this strep throat if it's not treated with antibiotic therapy. And we did not hear them saying nothing about antibiotics. Remember, I mentioned earlier that if somebody cough and they walk off and you walk into that space, that area where they cough, the droplets are in the air. So if you breathe that in, you're going to get whatever cold they have or whatever strep throat or whatever they've got coming out in those droplets you're going to catch, especially during cold season. That's how people pick up a lot of colds, through the respiratory inhaling of those droplets. So this article further states that it is possible to catch strep throat by breathing in droplets, sharing personal items with someone who's been infected, and touching something that's been exposed to droplets, and then touching your nose or mouth. You can inhale virus or bacteria that way also. And then I found this part of the article very interesting, because it says, even if you don't have signs and symptoms of this infection, you can still be contagious. You may not appear sick, and you can be contagious and not have any symptoms. So you can appear as if everything is okay for 2 weeks, and you can be spreading this strep throat for 2 weeks. So everybody you come into contact with can pick it up. And in the meantime, you are not showing any symptoms. So guys, why do you think Jaguar did not mention anything about antibiotics? I did not hear her one time mention antibiotics. Did you guys hear antibiotics dropping in the comment section? Maybe she mentioned it and I missed that episode, but I didn't hear it. And if she did not mention antibiotics, that means TJ is not on antibiotics, because Jaguar talks everything. There's nothing a secret. Not even how she makes love to TJ is a secret. She tells it all, okay? So I'm really wondering why they would lie about something like this, something so serious, because it's highly contagious. Did they think that nobody would look it up and see what is the process with this strep throat, and if TJ indeed went to the hospital? I know Jaguar said she was going to cut off the band after something. They had to do something before she cut the band. But let me tell you, the band is not consequential. What is consequential is the antibiotics. We want to see the antibiotics, because you can get a band and you can put on a band and scotch tape it. And anytime you need a band on your hand, you keep that band, and anytime you need to use it as a weapon, you put it on and say, see, I've been to the hospital. But that does not mean you went to the hospital. It just means you got a band that you keep reusing. So this article goes on to say, if you take antibiotics for strep throat within 48 hours of the onset of the illness, it reduces the duration and severity of the symptoms as well as the risk of complications and the likelihood that infection will spread to others. With treatment, you or your significant other or child should start feeling better in a day or two. So the question is, was TJ on antibiotics or was she just putting on? We knew she started to feel better on day 3. She started to speak regular on day 3. But was she on antibiotics? That's the question. And if so, Jaguar, put the bottle so we can see the antibiotics, what she was on, and the date. Put the date. We want to see all those receipts because we don't believe that she even went to the hospital. And we definitely do not believe that she had strep throat. So Jaguar may say, I don't have to show nothing as proof. I don't have to show no antibiotics bottle or anything. That's true because that's your personal business. But when you make your personal business the public's business, then we have a right to ask. You may not want to show receipts. That's your right. But we got our rights, and our rights is to ask you questions based on what you put out there. So when it comes to medicine, there's always exception to the rule. The article says, other symptoms include sore throat, fever, headache, stomach pain, nausea, and vomiting. Cough, hoarseness, red eyes, and runny nose are not seen with strep throat. But TJ said she had hoarseness, and we heard the hoarseness. But this article says that does not come with strep throat, hoarseness. So I'm wondering, what in the world did this woman have? Did she make it all up? So TJ and Jaguar, before you claim any illness, look up the symptoms before you get out there and tell the world what you got. You need to know the signs and the symptoms, okay? So the hallmark signs that you have strep throat is a fever, pain with swallowing, sore throat that starts very quickly and may look red. But I didn't hear TJ saying that she had a sore throat. I know she said she couldn't talk. Another sign is that you have red and swollen tonsils, white patches of streak of pus of the tonsils, tiny red spots on the roof of the mouth called petechiae. No, TJ nor Jaguar did not complain of any of these symptoms. Jaguar did not report it, and TJ did not complain of having them. But what was striking was Jaguar did not give any feedback. You guys notice? After she said she called the ambulance because her girlfriend couldn't breathe, and that was the first day her girlfriend had strep throat. The second day, my girlfriend couldn't breathe. She didn't give any feedback after that. She just went into blogging the day after. And late in that night, she just was blogging. Late that morning, blogging. All day the next day, just blogging. No mention of, oh, TJ's. She just said TJ's fine. But what about the other stuff? Did she get antibiotics? Was she diagnosed truly with having strep throat, or was it made up? Did she get on some type of antibiotic treatment? How long? Was it a 2 week of taking antibiotics? Show us the bottle. Where's the hospital ban? Because she said she was going to save the hospital ban, I think she said, for something. But we want to see the date, honey. When you post that ban, we want to see the date on that ban. Guys, drop your comments. Don't forget to hit the like bell and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so as yet. But in closing, I want to say that I don't believe she went to the hospital. I don't believe she had strep throat. I do not believe she was even hyperventilating. I think it was an act for her not to answer the question when the question was posed to her on the show that they were doing with Queen Tulsa. And so what are your thoughts, guys? I know some of you believe that it was all real, and some of you do not. Drop your comments. I'm over and out. I'll see you all on the next episode. Thank you for watching.